return to our fabulous MC Jummy. Let's go red.
Ladies, thank you so much for your welcome message this evening. And right now, I want to extend a heartfelt welcome to all of our first-time Red Dress event guests. Please also give them a welcome in the chat right now. I want to shout out a few of them who are first-timers tonight. Let's give a straight from the heart welcome to the following guests. Zanetta Batcher of Washington, D.C., hello to you. Arnetta Lawrence, Alexandria, Virginia, hello to you as well. And Tina Stallings-Lilly, Arlington, Virginia, hello to you. You'll each receive a copy of April Ryan's book, Black Women Will Rule the World, an anthem, as well as Mamacita's Miracle Buttercream and a $25 gift card. That's quite the prize. Congratulations. All right, now it is my honor and pleasure to welcome to our virtual stage a leading mental health expert and a dynamic leader, our very own Dr. Lisa Lowry-Lomas, Eastern Area Director of the Links Incorporated. She's also a proud member of the Columbia, Maryland Links chapter, one of the proud host chapters of this evening's event. Good evening, Dr. Lowry-Lomas.
Thank you, Jummy. We come together today with a shared dedication to enhance our well-being. The acknowledgement of National Wear Red Day serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of heart health, especially in the African American community. Stress, anxiety, and depression have a direct impact on our heart health. It is crucial that we place a high priority on managing our mental well-being as a proactive measure against heart disease. Our mental health is just as important as our physical health, because without good mental health, there is no good physical health. Black women, the steadfast foundation of our families, unquestionably deserves self-care. Remember, self-care is not selfish. It is a critical, essential part of well-being. Let's approach health as a collaborative and essential family pursuit, fostering mutual support for lives that are healthier, longer, stronger, and more fulfilling. In the Black community, where the risk of heart disease is heightened, it becomes imperative to underscore the importance of taking heart health seriously. We must be diligent, consistent, and unapologetic in taking the very best care of ourselves. Our community plays a crucial role in nurturing our health and well-being. Actively engaging in community health programs, including addressing both physical and mental well-being, is the key to our collective prosperity. Never forget that our true wealth lies in our health. Prioritize yourself, your loved ones, and our community. Together, we are elevating friendship and empowering families to lead lives filled with good health and wellness. Now, Jummy, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Lowry-Lomas, for those great remarks. And now welcome all of our special guests in the house. You know, we have CEOs, college presidents, public officials, doctors, you name it. They are in this virtual audience along with all of you. As I said last year, Red Dress is always an inclusive event with a lot of heart that brings everyone together to save lives and to change lives for the better on this National Wear Red Day. Now, we are thrilled to welcome back to our virtual stage for the third consecutive year, Red Dress Platinum sponsor, Walgreens. Alethia Jackson is Senior Vice President of Environment, Social, and Governance, and the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Walgreens Boots Alliance. That's the holding company of Walgreens. Please welcome and give a heartwarming virtual round of applause to Alethia Jackson.
Thank you, Jummy, for that introduction. And thank you to the DMV Links for continuing this important initiative. Congratulations on hosting the 16th annual DMV Links Red Dress event. I'm honored to represent Walgreens, and we are proud to once again serve as a sponsor for this incredible cause. Last week, our global enterprise, Walgreens Boots Alliance, released our annual ESG report. This year's theme is enabling healthy communities. Helping communities thrive by improving the health of our neighbors is at the heart of our work. Whether we are investing in programs to improve health equity, support people living with health conditions, or addressing availability of vaccines, vitamins, or mental health services, or supporting programs like this that encourage the early detection and prevention of heart disease. Walgreens understands that it takes education and information, advocacy, collaboration, and leadership to build healthy communities. I feel privileged to be part of an incredible team that follows a long tradition of healthcare pioneers who are committed to enabling healthier communities. Community is at the backbone of our society, and as recognized by the World Health Organization, health is the underpinning of productive, resilient, and stable economies. Our commitment to championing healthier communities is of critical importance to current and future generations. And as we know, heart health is the #1 killer among women, and there continues to be a need for health equity. Each year, Walgreens, our team members and customers support heart health initiatives. And we know that the health of the community begins with each one of us. So it's important to shine a light on heart health, wellness, and self-care to save lives. So I want to once again thank the DMV Links for your incredible work in helping to raise awareness of this condition. Back to you, Jummy.
Alethia, Walgreens, thank you so much for that great message and your support each year. Okay, so how is everyone doing right now? I see a lot of dialogue going on in the chat room. That means you're enjoying this great program. I am as well. So make sure you share this page, like it, take notes to pass to your friends and family. Is anyone in need of a vacation this spring? Are you sick of the snow and the cold? Raise your hand. Yep, I'm right there with you. We'll keep it locked here to our program because a chance to win a 1-week stay in Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico is coming up. Talk about the ultimate self-care package. Now, as event chair Michelle Bailey mentioned earlier, straight from the heart is at the core of what we do as members of the Links Incorporated. We're friends, connected in service, rooted and grounded in our communities. Thanks to our very generous corporate sponsors and donors, our Links chapters here in the DMV are able to make special presentations annually to some of our community partners in Washington, Maryland, and in Virginia. Last year's partners were Washington, D.C.'s Bright Beginnings, Maryland's Bowie State University College of Nursing, and Virginia's Action in Community Through Service, who received a total of $30,000 in donations. And tonight, for the 4th consecutive year, DMV Links Red Dress will make history awarding donations to 3 nonprofit organizations in the area who are making significant impacts in our community and who are committed to the education in the community about heart health and overall wellness. Joining us tonight to make these presentations are Dr. Lynn Lightfoot, president of the Metropolitan DC Links chapter, Jacqueline Gray, president of the Southern Maryland Chain Links chapter, and Amber Talbert, president of the Loudoun County, Virginia Links chapter. Ladies.
Thank you, Jummy. Good evening. I am Dr. Lynn Lightfoot, president of the Metropolitan DC chapter of the Links. Tonight, it is my honor on behalf of the 15th sponsoring chapter of this year's DMV Links Red Dress event to present a donation to Emcee Beacon of Light. This nonprofit has been a lifeline to the Ward 4 Brightwood community of Washington, D.C. since 1996, profoundly impacting over 10,000 lives. They have been a provider of needed services and a source of hope, and a true beacon of light, offering everything from nourishing food pantries to indispensable legal support for immigrants and strengthening small businesses. I would like to extend a very special thanks to Lataska Nelson for her exceptional leadership as executive director. We hope that our donation will help ensure that the heart of the Emcee Beacon of Light continues to beat strong, sustaining its vital role in our community. For more information about Emcee Beacon of Light, check out our digital Red Dress program book. Thank you. And now you will hear from Jackie Gray, president of the Southern Maryland Chain of the Links.
Thank you, Lynn. Good evening. I am Jackie Gray, honored to serve as the president of Southern Maryland Chain Links chapter. Tonight, representing the collective strength and commitment of the 15 sponsoring chapters of the 16th annual DMV Links Red Dress event, I am delighted to present a donation to Maryland's own Lifestyles Incorporated. This amazing organization is a source of hope and support, firmly dedicated to ensuring that everyone in our community has access to the essentials of a dignified life. Our donation is rooted in a shared vision, a vision where no child ever goes to bed hungry, where every individual has access to quality and affordable physical and mental health care, where each family is empowered to become self-sufficient, and where every able person can earn a living wage. Lifestyles Incorporated works vigorously to ensure those in need find not just shelter, but a pathway to a better, more secure future with heart. We are proud to support their mission and contribute to their transformative impact they have in our community. For more information about Lifestyles Incorporated, visit our website and our digital red dress program book. Thank you. And now you will hear from Amber Talbot, President of Loudoun County, Virginia, the Links chapter.
Good evening, everyone. I am Amber Talbot, Loudoun County, Virginia Links Chapter President. Tonight, on behalf of the 15 sponsoring chapters of this year's DMV Links Red Dress event, it is my heart's delight to present a donation to Mobile Hope in Northern Virginia. Mobile Hope plays a critical role in our community, providing much needed support and emergency shelter to young individuals up to the age of 24 who are at risk, precariously housed, or homeless. This nonprofit is more than just a shelter. It is a place of hope and empowerment, guiding our youth on their journey from homelessness to self-sufficiency. The DMV Links Red Dress chapters here tonight recognize the profound impact of Mobile Hope's work. Our donation is a testament to our belief in their mission and our commitment to supporting the amazing work they do. We are confident that with the support, they will continue to light the way with heart for many more young lives, making our future together even brighter. For more information about Mobile Hope, visit their website and our digital red dress program book. Thank you. And now, Jummy, back to you.
Ladies, Madam Presidents, thank you so much for these presentations. All right, I'm just getting word in from our production team. Okay, we've got a generous patron just in, came through with some Wizards tickets and dinner for 2 people. So let's get that virtual drum roll, please. All right, I'm getting the name now. Okay, tonight's winner is Lakita Johnson of Washington, D.C. Congratulations to you. I'm sure by now you can see that the Links, we're fired up. We love to give back to our community. It is all about health and wellness tonight.
You never know when it's going to be your opportunity to step in and save a life. CPR and AEDs. It's why I'm still here in front of you today. My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. I want to take my situation and be able to help others. Cordial Cortis is the leading cause of death in youth athletes. I'm taking a step in to make a change. Getting more people CPR certified. It connects with the American Heart Association's mission. The mission of the Nation of Lifesavers is simple. When an incident breaks out and someone needs CPR, people can be well equipped to be able to save a life. We're taking a nation of bystanders and turning them to a nation of lifesavers. I've always been about the community. I've always been about making tomorrow better for the youth. We're saving lives across the world. Someone who can save a life, that's a superpower if you ask me.
Now, Red Dress is not just a one and done for our community. Our local Links chapters, through our Red Dress initiative, encourage you to be trained on CPR as well. You hear more about that in our program, along with our partnership with the American Heart Association. That is coming up. Also, there are Links community events happening all throughout the year focused on your total health. So coming to a city near you in the DMV, Links chapters all across the nation and our region are hosting Black Family Expos next month in March. March. You can check out details in our e-program book and also visit linksinc.org for more information. Now, also speaking of family wellness, joining our virtual Red Dress stage right now is our platinum sponsor, the McCuiston Group, which focuses on wellness for children and families. It's located here in Washington, D.C., and Dr. Maia McCuiston is the group's founder and CEO. She's a leading pediatrician who has combined her medical expertise with strong commitment to the community and service. And she's also a proud member of the Arlington, Virginia chapter of the Links Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. McCuiston.
Thanks, Jummy. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Maia McCuiston, proud member of the Arlington, Virginia chapter of the Links, CEO and owner of the McCuiston Group, Pediatrics and Lactation. As a proud platinum sponsor of tonight's event, I'd like to speak with you all straight from the heart. Our youngest generation's health journey begins at birth. Pediatric care is not just about treating illness, it's also about nurturing a future of health. As an internationally board-certified lactation consultant and pediatrician, I see how early nutrition, specifically breastfeeding, can lay the groundwork for a heart-healthy life. Addressing heart health early combats health disparities and sets a lifetime foundation of wellness. At the McCuiston Group, we extend our mission beyond clinical care, focusing on educating and empowering families to make informed and healthy decisions for their children and their families. Together, let's embrace this theme of heart health and make a lasting impact, ensuring a healthier future for our children and generations to come. Thank you. Back to you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much, Dr. McCuiston. We certainly feel your passion in our community. All right, our next sponsor, you could say, delivers in more ways than one. Coming to the virtual stage for Red Dress is our event platinum sponsor, FedEx. Gina Adams is Senior Vice President for Government and Regulatory Affairs. She plays a crucial role in shaping and promoting the interests of FedEx, varying operating companies in the realm of politics and policy. Gina is a member of the Links Incorporated as well. Please welcome Gina Adams.
Good evening. I'm Gina Adams, and thank you, Jummy, for that warm introduction, and to Michelle Miller for her inspiring words. First, I'd like to thank the DMV Links Red Dress Committee for the opportunity to support their critical initiative, that of educating women of color about heart disease and improving their overall heart health and wellness. Events like this evening's are more than just a reminder to make heart health a priority. More so, they are vital in providing essential education and life-changing opportunities for women in our communities to live healthy, happy, and vibrant lives. Like DMV Links, FedEx also champions efforts that support the health of our communities. We deliver life-saving medical shipments around the world every day and are proud to participate in initiatives like this one that support the American Heart Association. Once again, thank you for allowing me to have a voice in this important discussion around heart disease, one which we hope can lead to stronger, healthier hearts for Black women. Now back to you, Jummy.
Gina, thank you for your inspiring and informative words there. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I can just feel what I like to say, all this Black girl magic throughout the night. We're hearing about heart health, wellness, health equity. It is nothing short of inspiring, and it certainly does my heart good to hear. How about you? All right, well, our last speaker before we go into our panel is our Diamond Plus sponsor, Business Development Associates. LaJuanna Russell is founder and CEO. She has a small Virginia business that helps organizations change and evolve and also transform through human capital management. LaJuanna is also a proud member of the Arlington, Virginia chapter of the Links Incorporated, our chair chapter. Please help me welcome LaJuanna to the virtual stage.
Thanks, Jummy. Good evening, everyone. I am LaJuanna Russell, the proud 16th annual DMV Links Red Dress Diamond Plus sponsor, and I'm president and CEO of Business Management Associates. We are a Virginia-based small business helping organizations change, evolve, and transform. We enable clients to achieve more through fast, efficient, and effective human capital management, and process transformation by allowing them to see what is humanly possible first. As a member of the Arlington, Virginia Links chapter, and also a member of the Black Owner and Women's Collective, also known as the BO Collective, I stand before you in this virtual space to talk about something that is close to my heart health and health equity. As we go red and don our red tonight, we are doing more than making a fashion statement. We are standing together as a united front in the critical battle for better health and heart health awareness, particularly in the Black community. The challenge of affordable healthcare deeply affects all of us. The steep increase in prescription drug costs is not just an economic issue. It's a symbol of the larger systemic barriers that prevent many from accessing essential healthcare and can hinder growth for many small business owners. This health crisis doesn't discriminate. It affects mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends in our community. Recognizing this, we as women must prioritize our health and champion for accessible, affordable healthcare. As a member of the Links, I am acutely aware of the significance of heart health for Black women. Our commitment to this cause extends beyond mere education and advocacy. It's a matter of life and death. With transformative events like Red Dress, we understand the need for healthcare that is both accessible and affordable, and we stress the importance of regular health screenings, ladies, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and caring for our mental well-being. Tonight, as we gather on this virtual platform, let's pledge to harness our collective power to advocate for affordable healthcare and to prioritize our heart health and well-being in a comprehensive manner. Our combined efforts have the power to drive the change we so desperately need. Now, let's stand together, straight from the heart, for our health and for our future. Thank you. Now, Jummy, back to you.
LaJuanna, thank you for those empowering remarks. You know, rising healthcare costs are critical to the conversation we're having tonight, so we want to thank you for elevating that on this platform. I also want to personally thank each of you for another wonderful evening. It has been my pleasure to join you as your host. Now you know what time it is. It's time for our panel. So I'm going to head over to the live chat. I'm going to hang out with everyone while we catch the rest of this Red Dress program. I know it's going to be a hearty program, if you will. And you already know my girl, MSNBC's Symone Sanders-Townsend, and the rest of this expert panel are going to get right to the conversation. You do not want to miss any of that important dialogue. Now, before we go, real quick, let me get that name. Okay, because I want to announce the winner of that vacation package to Cabo. Okay, we have it now. A virtual drum roll, please. The winner is Shay Carrier of Largo, Maryland. Congratulations to you, Shay. Information coming your way. Now, take it away, Symone.
Thank you, Jummy. Okay, well, first of all, Shay, if you need someone to join you in Cabo or for whatever reason you can't get off and take that trip, I am off Monday through Thursday, and I will make myself available, honey. Greetings, everyone. Another virtual round of applause for my goodling sister and very good friend, Jummy. I mean, the DMV links, this is just the next level, but I don't expect anything less. I know we've got spa packages, we've got tickets, and to be clear, they're not just tickets, they are VIP tickets to the Sherri show. And let me tell you, it is wonderful. Oprah's favorite things like her family's Winfrey Royal Relish and award-winning Mishu beauty products and more. DMV links are just not playing. I love it, ladies. Elevating for everyone else. Well, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Symone Sanders-Townsend. And yes, I am back. Okay, if you were here last year, we had a time. We learned some things. It was good. So I didn't want to miss this. I literally am coming to you live from my office at the Bureau in Washington, D.C. There's so much great information to be had at this event. It's one of my favorites. More to come. Okay. So keep it live. We have lots of incredible giveaways. I already texted my mother and told her she needed to log on tonight if she wanted to get some of the goods. So you have to log in throughout the night, ladies and gents. Stay with us. Do not go away. I want to thank Jummy for letting me introduce the next speaker here, who is my friend and who is definitely coming to you straight from the heart. My girl of a fearless civil rights servant, the Reverend Dr. Shavon Arline-Bradley. Now, Rev could not be with us tonight, so she sent a very powerful message, and we are going to play it for you shortly. But let me tell you a little bit about Reverend Dr. Shavon Arline-Bradley first, because she is the first president and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women, the first president and CEO of a historic organization. And the fact that she is leading it now just goes to show that our orgs are transitioning into the future. And I know the Reverend Doctor is taking it to the next level. She is also the president and founding principal of REACH, REACH, Beyond Solutions, LLC. And that is where she does strategy and innovative consulting. She's also co-founder of the Health Equity Cipher Group, which is a collaborative of nationally recognized health equity experts. And it's designed to expand the work of health, of equity, diversity, and inclusion in all sectors. And let me tell you, I don't have to tell this group of folks who are logged on tonight, we need that now more than ever. From serving in the office of the 19th United States Surgeon General as the Director of External Engagement and Senior Advisor, to her role as EVP of Strategic Planning and Partnerships and Senior Director of Health Programs at the NAACP, the national, y'all. Shavon is the past co-chair of the National Social Action Commission, serving on the National Board of Directors for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She is also a member of the Columbia, Maryland Links chapter. And recently, she became an advisory board member of the Oprah Winfrey Network Initiative, Own Your Health. So with that, I bring to you the amazing Reverend Dr. Shavon Arline-Bradley.
Thank you so much, Sister Symone, for a warm welcome. It is so good to be with you all tonight. I am Shavon Arline-Bradley, and I am a proud member of the Columbia, Maryland chapter of the Links Incorporated. Hello there, Sister Eastern Area Director. That is a member of my chapter, Lisa Laurie Lomas. And it's so good to talk to you today. And you see me, I am in my red, coming straight from the heart, pun intended. That is the theme for our work around health and heart disease in women in this country. Now, you know, February is a very special time because this month we honor and celebrate those who have survived, but also honor those who have lost their battle, because heart disease is the #1 killer of women. And for new moms, it has now become the new #1 killer of new mothers. And Black women have the highest rate of maternal deaths. So what am I saying? For all those that are listening, the DMV Links Red Dress event gives us an opportunity to talk through some of the most important issues in healthcare. And that is one, making sure that you are eating healthy, getting your fruits, your vegetables, encouraging you to take in lean meats. Also, increase your physical activity. We want to ensure that every day your body gets a chance to move. Why? Because those are risk factors for heart disease. But not only nutrition and physical activity, reducing your stress levels, and making sure that you have mental and social support. Get a massage, do some yoga, take time for deep breathing. We want to make sure that you take care of your body and take care of your families too. Now, the members of the Links Incorporated are committed to ensuring that heart disease and heart disease awareness becomes a major part of your conversations. Know the signs and symptoms of heart disease. When you are a woman, remember, our symptoms may be a little bit different than a man's symptoms. So be sure to check with your doctor if you're having pain in your arm, if you're sweating, if you're feeling pain in your chest. These are signs of heart disease. And for women, those signs can even look differently. So never forget that heart disease is not only the #1 killer, but it is something that we can prevent if we are tracking it. Now, I want to say to all those that are watching, my Link sisters and community across this country, this red dress and this red shirt is saying that our hearts are with you. We're straight from the heart for Links Incorporated. May God bless you. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of this time because the links are connected and we are serving because we know that we're coming straight from the heart to you. Now I'm going to send it back to our sister Symone. God bless you and good to see everyone.
Great to see Reverend Doctor. See, I'm fired up. I am ready. I do not know about you, ladies and gentlemen. We have an amazing panel, okay? So I hope you're fired up. Please hold your virtual round of applause until all of our panelists have been recognized. And for even more about our panelists, I encourage you to take a good look at the Red Dress Digital Program book, okay? See the link in the chat. We worked very hard on it. We are really about to talk straight from the heart. The theme for tonight with this dynamic panel, that's it. That's what we're talking about. So are you ready? I got to check the chat. I don't know. Are you ready? Okay. All right. I'm just triple checking everyone. And also for continued impact this month in celebration of American Heart Month and the American Heart Association's 100th birthday. Happy birthday, by the way, the American Heart Association and the DMV Links Red Dress. We are urging every family in the United States to join the Nation of Lifesavers by learning CPR. Now, I know Jimmy mentioned this earlier in the program. There are links in the chat about this. There's a QR code in our virtual program book. Folks, CPR is so important when it's time to save someone's life. When the time comes, the question is, will you be ready? Will you be ready? Well, you will if you sign up and you take this class and you get certified. All right, we're ready. Actually, before I go any further, I think I should do another giveaway, right? Let me see. Let me check my notes, okay? Let me check this. All right. Here we go. Are you ready? I'm seeing the drum roll. Okay, this package goes to Pamela Taylor of Nashville, Tennessee, who has been chatting up Red Dress on this year and last year. So thank you, Pamela, for all your work. Pamela will be receiving a $100 Nordstrom's gift card and a Shea Moisture gift basket, okay? Congratulations, Pamela. Please check the chat for information and instructions on what to do to redeem your prizes. And folks, remember, there are more great prizes coming up. So keep it locked. All right. It's time to introduce our amazing panelists. Of course, we have to start with our Red Dress resident cardiologist, Dr. Reginald Robinson. He is synonymous with the DMV Links Red Dress, and he's no stranger to us. Dr. Robinson specializes in non-invasive cardiology in the Washington, D.C. area at MedStar Cardiology Associates. Now, his clinical expertise is in cardiology, and his practice is focused on TLC, ladies and gentlemen, total life changes and healthier changes through prevention. Dr. Reginald is the immediate past president of the American Heart Association's Eastern States Region Board of Directors. He's a proud Morehouse man. We love a Morehouse man. He's a member of the 100 Black Men of Greater Washington and a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Round of applause. I know I told y'all to hold your applause, but we just have to clap for our resident cardiologist. Bringing next to the stage, coming next is Dr. Jacqueline D. Griffiths. She is a leading ophthalmologist who began performing laser vision correction from its inception in this country, i.e., she's a trailblazer, folks. She started her own practice and laser center, New View Laser Eye Inc. in 1999, where she serves as the medical director. Now, New View is the first, told you she was a trailblazer, and the only laser eye center in Reston, Virginia, and one of a handful of women and minority-owned laser centers in the entire world. She has repeatedly been voted top ophthalmologist by Washingtonian Magazine, The Washington Post, America's top ophthalmologist, and say that 5 times, and Northern Virginia Magazine. Dr. Griffiths is a member of the Reston, Virginia Links chapter. The Reston Links is going to come for me because they're like, girl, you know who we are. She is a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she donates eye services through Eye Care America. That's a program of the Foundation of the American Academy of Ophthalmology that was recognized and awarded by President Obama. Round of applause for Dr. Griffiths, y'all. Next coming to the stage is my friend and sister, Kimberly L. Jeffries Leonard. Okay, the doctor. Now, Dr. Leonard served as the 17th national president of the Links Incorporated. With over 35 years of applied health and behavioral medicine research, evaluation, technical assistance, and training experience in policy, Dr. Jeffries Leonard, y'all, she has held just various executive level positions within the Washington, D.C. public health sector. The list is so long. When they said it to me, I said, we can't even name it all. We'll be here all night. But you should know that she is currently the president and CEO of Envision Consulting, LLC. Because when you have all those jobs and you've done all that work, now you need the consulting. And so she has her own boutique public health consulting firm. Dr. Jeffries Leonard is chair of Fayetteville State University's Board of Trustees. She is the chair and director at large of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, Inc. Board of Directors. She is a member and secretary of AIDS United Board of Directors. Do you see the theme? She is busy and in charge. She's the vice president of administration and member of the board of directors of the Black Women's Agenda Incorporated and more. She's also a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And Dr. Jeffries Leonard is a silver star and member of the current International President's Executive Team. Round of applause. Next, and certainly not least, okay, is president of, well, the National Vice President of Health Equity and Partnerships and the National Executive Director for the National Hypertension Control Initiative for the American Heart Association, Pamela Garmon Johnson. Now, the organization I just mentioned that Pamela is the National Vice President of is a national partner with the Links Incorporated. Now, Pamela is responsible for leading the strategic planning for improving the health of communities across the United States by identifying opportunities with powerful partnerships to impact transformative lifestyle and community change. That's why she's on this panel tonight. We couldn't do this without her. She's a member of the Windy City, Illinois Links chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and the Links Incorporated, Jack and Jill of America, Inc., American Marketing Association, the McKinsey Black Executive Leadership Program, and a lifetime member of the National Black MBA Association. I know we have a lot to talk about tonight. Pamela, honey, last but certainly not least, bringing it home, rounding out our panel tonight is Andrea Wongsam. She is a National American Heart Association spokesperson. And her mantra is, are y'all ready for this? It's go red or go home. Andrea's heart attack story is one of resilience. It is one of inspiration. And let me just tell y'all, when her story hit the press, she was interviewed by various national and local media. I'm talking Shape Magazine, ABC News, the Huffington Post. She has become an advocate for women's heart health following her own heart attack. And if you don't know her story, her heart attack happened while she was pregnant in 2004. Yes. And her journey has led her to make significant lifestyle and wellness changes, such as regular exercise, healthier food choices, participation in fitness boot camps, y'all. She's also been actively involved in promoting awareness through speaking engagements like the DMV Links Red Dress event, also organizing teams for the American Heart Association's Health Walk. Now, her journey through personal loss marked by the passing of her baby, her child, brought about challenging times of fear and anxiety. And her story is a story of resilience. And it is a powerful story. I think I can't wait for you all to hear Andrea's testimony, because she has turned these experiences into a source of strength, into a commitment to help others. And her statement, I'm just going to read it for you all. I go red for all the women out there that live with heart disease, including myself. That statement, it reflects her dedication to raising awareness about heart disease in women and encouraging them to educate themselves to prevent similar experiences. What a testimony you have. I'm not even going to tell the rest of your story, Andrea, because we want to hear it from you. So this is our panel, folks. Please, warm round of virtual applause. I thank you all for being here with us. And I think we just need to get into this. Let's get down to straight from the heart, if you will. Can we just start with you, Dr. Reginald? Because last year I learned so much. I have my notepad again this year. Take good notes. I started a fresh one, actually, because I didn't want any confusion here. So let me start with, I want to start with medical history, because I think when we're specifically talking about Black and brown people, Black folks specifically in the United States of America, and you hear people go to the doctor, you always hear people talk about it runs in my family. Hypertension runs in my family, high blood pressure runs in my family, heart disease runs in my family. When someone says that, does this mean that they will actually or automatically have heart disease? And is the running in my family thing true?
First, I'd like to thank you again for hosting, Symone. You make this thing so easy to be on a panel with you, and being on the panel with one of these wonderful sisters that are here. I'm like, what am I doing here? No. When you think about risk factors, that's an easy way out for a lot of people when they come in and say, I have this family history of this and that. So in their mind, they're already saying that I'm doomed to do this. And I have to step back and say there are certain things that you can do. There are what we call modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors, right? You can't do anything about who your parents are, your genetics. You can't do anything about your race, your gender. Those are biologic things, but those modifiable risk factors, 70 or 80% of those things can modify overall outcomes, like how you eat, how you act, your activity level, whether you smoke, obesity. Those are some of the modifiable risk factors. And when you talk about family history, most people in America, the analogy, I love using an analogy. If you go into a 70-year-old house and you cut the plumbing open, you're going to see something in the plumbing, right? That doesn't mean that you need roto-rootering, right? So if you're 70 years old, you can expect that you may have some vascular disease. If you've been pouring grease down the sink 20 years, think about diabetes as that grease. If you've had diabetes 20 years pouring down the sink.
Talk about those eating habits, Dr.
Right? Grandmother used to have that can on the, don't act like you don't know. The can on the stove, and they would pour the grease in there. That's right, and draining it out. And you don't pour that grease down there. So diabetes is like that grease. So those are some of the things when you think about modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors. So if you say that my father or my grandfather was 80 years old and he had a heart attack, that's not necessarily a family history. When you think about the first degree male relatives, your brother, your mother, your father, who had a heart attack in their 50s, 50, 55 years of age, that's a strong family history. A first degree female relative in their 60s or 65 who's had a heart attack or a stroke, that's a true cardiovascular risk factor. Someone that, if you have a family history of what we call hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, you hear about people dying suddenly on the athletic field, that may be a genetic component. And we forget that there's something called epigenetics, how our environment influences genes. So if you live in a stressful environment, those stressful factors are going to influence you. All you have to do is think about something that happened as a kid. And what does that do? It sets up this whole mechanism, building up adrenaline, and it becomes a behavior, whether it's anger, the cortisol, all of those things. So you can call that more of a genetic. You learn how to eat from your family. You learn how to stress from your family. Those aren't true genetics, but they are, quote, genes that you learn from your environment. So if you've learned how to be in a stressful environment, stressful relationships, stressful home, that can influence you long term. If you learn how to eat certain things, it's hard to break out of that. A long way around, but I just wanted to sort of encapsulate it that way.
No, you helping us set the stage, Doc. So I need you to do that. Now I got about one and a half more questions for you before we open it up to the rest of the panel. Can we talk about symptom recognition? Because I can't tell you how many times I have heard someone say, "Oh, I got the tingle. It's like I'm having a stroke," or "Oh, it's a little touch of heart disease." And I know the people in the chat can identify with what I'm saying, but are there real symptoms of heart disease or stroke that tend to present differently when it comes to Black women as compared to other populations? And frankly, how can the awareness of these symptoms be improved? What do we need to look out for?
So I'll focus it down when you say heart disease. I'm going to focus directly on heart attack, because heart disease could be diabetes. Diabetes is just like having a cardiovascular disease until proven otherwise. Hypertension is a cardiovascular disease, but if you're talking about heart attack, then we'll talk about stroke. And when Andrea tells you her story, you'll really see why this is important. Think about chest pain. So chest is made up of a whole bunch of different things. When you look from the outside in, what do you see first? Your chest wall, the muscle, the breast tissue. So if I've been working out, bench pressing, and now it hurts every time I do like this and touch my chest, and I can reproduce it, I'm probably not having a heart attack if I can easily reproduce it. Or if I went out and had a big steak and then drank soda, and then I get these bubbles and I get this burning sensation, I belch or drink some Tums or Maalox, that's probably not a heart attack happening. If you're out exercising and you normally would do this day-to-day activity and you're walking around and all of a sudden you start to have tightness, heaviness, pressure, more shorter breath than usual. When we think about women and diabetics, you may not have that classic chest pain, someone sitting on your chest, radiating up your jaw, down your arm. It may be that you're all of a sudden getting winded, doing some of the same things that you normally would do. Go do the groceries, go walk down the block, and all of a sudden you can't do that. So think about the exercise relationship to that. If that changes and you start getting symptoms, whether it's classic left-sided chest pain, I've had patients that have had right arm pain, but it was always occurring when they exercise, and it would get better when they stopped. So really listening to your body. When you think about strokes, as an acronym, you can say be fast or fast. I just break it down to fast, F-A-S-T. F is face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, slurred speech, and T is most important for both heart attack and stroke, meaning time. I can't tell you how many people, especially men, will sit back and say, well, let me sleep it off and see if it's going to get better, and time is of the essence. So for a stroke, you need a window of somewhere from 90 minutes to 3 hours where you can get treatment for that. If you sleep it off and you go in the next day, the likelihood of full recovery goes down significantly. So time is brain, time is heart. The same thing with a heart attack. If you're waiting outside of that 90 minutes or an hour, your heart's not getting that oxygen that it needs. So more and more tissue is being damaged. So recognition that something's different in you, you're the one that's going to really tell that. The doctor may not even tell you that or ask you those questions.
You, ladies and gents, I cannot underscore for folks who were here last year. I cannot underscore the importance of, recognizing the symptoms. My father, who worked out literally every day, did 2-a-days, he had a stroke at the gym. So it literally can happen anywhere. And I know we're going to hear from Andrea, who has a very powerful story. I want to just address a little elephant in the room before we go to the other panelists. Doc, can we talk about Ozempic? Okay, it's a hot topic. Can we just discuss the implications? Because a lot of times we're talking about heart disease and heart health, and we talk about losing weight and making healthy choices. That Ozempic, Doc, okay? A lot of the people in this room and on this Zoom, they can find it and afford it. Talk about the implications, the effectiveness, if you will, of Ozempic. And frankly, we are using Ozempic as an umbrella term because we know there are other drugs and shots that do the same thing. But there's the effectiveness of it when it comes to treatment for diabetes and even obesity among Black women, especially considering the risk factors. So let's address the Ozempic elephant.
All right. So before we go into that, I wanted to say that the recognition of a stroke is not just for you individually. Now we've all been deputized to be able to recognize people that are around us that are having strokes or heart attacks so that we can save their lives. The Ozempic is the magic wand that everyone wants to do. We know as Americans, we love the easy way out in a lot of things. I mean, as I say, TLC is total lifestyle change. Ozempic is a good thing. Mounjaro, some of the other ones, it's a diabetic medication where you get a shot. Some people say, I'd rather get the shot than to go exercise and change my diet. But when you get to a certain body mass index, then it's usually beneficial. The downside is some of our diabetics can't get it because, the obesity doctors and patients that are mildly overweight are getting it. And that's decreasing the amount that some of the patients that are diabetics can get. It helps to curb your appetite. It helps with diabetes, and that class also has some cardiovascular benefits, just like some other diabetic medications that are out there that you may have heard of, Farxiga and Jardiance, that may help decrease heart attack, stroke, if you're on it, not only by just decreasing your obesity or your weight, but also helping control and modify your diabetes. And the way you see it working, it decreases the appetite. And it's been found out that, when people go for you should know this if you're on it and you're going to have a study done, a surgery done, whether it's an endoscopy or colonoscopy. Normally they tell you don't eat anything for 24 hours. They found that people that are on these drugs, they still have a belly full of food and they have a risk of aspiration because their food haven't digested all the way. So now surgical programs.
The chat is going crazy, Doc. The chat is going crazy. People are
now surgical programs are actually putting in further time limits for people to stop those medications, maybe a week out before actually having a surgery, whether it's a colonoscopy or a major surgery, because you want your body to be clean before it run into some complications.
So, Dr. Reginald, the journalist in me is like, so should they get on the Ozempic or not?
Well, some people really, it could be beneficial. I'm not promoting one or the other, right? There are some people that definitely need it and it could be life-saving, because we know that obesity is the leading preventable cause of death, if you look at it that way. Smoking used to be the leading preventable cause. Now if we go to a church, I hate doing it, but I can't help myself when I'm in a grocery store and I'm behind someone's, I'm looking in their basket and say, you don't need that in your basket. I can't help myself. But we all know 2 out of 3 people are overweight or obese. And the younger you are with this obesity, we had our pediatrician on here earlier. We're seeing kids come out with these chronic conditions a lot earlier. Diabetes, I mentioned, is a cardiovascular risk equivalent, meaning that you're likely to have a heart attack, 4 times more likely to have an amputation, 4 times more likely to end up on dialysis, 4 times more likely to have a stroke, 4 or 5 times more likely to have visual changes, which Dr. Griffin will probably talk about a little later. So it could be life-saving.
All right, everyone. It could be life-saving. Andrea, we've invoked your name so many times. I'm wondering if you could start by telling us your story, because oftentimes I think we might speak in lofty. I'm here with the professionals right here, my health experts, but your story is gut-wrenching. Please, if you could indulge us all.
Thank you, Dr. Reggie. First of all, the links, thank you so much for this opportunity. Symone, thank you for that introduction. So my story, gosh, I was 35 and 13 weeks pregnant. My first baby, we were thrilled and excited to be welcoming and expanding our home past just us and our dogs. I wasn't having the best start to my pregnancy. I had intense morning sickness. The only time I felt well was when I was asleep. Several times during the 13 weeks, I needed rehydration. I would go to the ER, get rehydrated, go back home, feel well for a couple days, then have to start the cycle all over again. My symptoms were really intense. I had nausea, vomiting, heartburn, fatigue, and just general discomfort all the time. The day my heart attack happened, it just so happened that it started in the morning. I was on my way to work. I didn't realize I was having a heart attack, not because I wasn't feeling things, but because I misinterpreted and dismissed all my heart attack symptoms as morning sickness. My heart attack symptoms were nausea, vomiting, fatigue. However, the heartburn was certainly more intense and it radiated to my shoulders. And it was extremely painful. There was a heaviness in my chest. My jaw tightened, my left arm went limp. I was sweating profusely. It was very hot. These were classic signs of a heart attack, and they meant absolutely nothing to me. The primary reason why I didn't recognize that my heart attack symptoms were really different from my morning sickness is because I didn't know what the signs of a heart attack were. I just had never taken the time to learn, and I just was not aware. And so I went through the morning, dismissing them and just trying to work through the symptoms and calm myself down and kind of get in my zone and different things that didn't work. I hate to admit it, but 6 hours after the onset was when I decided to get some, to get the care that I desperately needed. And even then, when the doctor said, "You're having a heart attack," after I did an EKG, I looked at him like he was crazy. He looked at me, I looked at him. I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm a healthy 35-year-old pregnant woman that was just at work earlier this morning." Yeah, no, I really wasn't. Shortly after that, I was, being shoved into the back of a medevac and being airlifted. Arrived at the hospital. It's, organized chaos. And I had to have emergency surgery. And I spent 10 days in the coronary care intensive care unit. During that time, unfortunately, I lost the baby. And all those dreams of motherhood that I was having earlier in the morning that I'd been having for weeks prior started to dim. How did this happen? Shortly after that, I needed to have a defibrillator implanted because my heart functionality was just so poor that I was at risk for sudden cardiac death. And I had to have my tubes blocked because now pregnancy was no longer going to be an option for me. I will say, though, that I had some other blind spots that day, not just the, being unaware of what the signs were, but I was pregnant and I was healthy and I was young. And those are the things that, you don't think of heart attack when you think of healthy and young. It just doesn't, you just can't wrap your head around that. So those three things collectively grounded me in the belief that it was my morning sickness. And had I just known, what those feelings meant, those symptoms that I was feeling in the morning, I would have made different decisions. And honestly, hopefully the physical and mental damage, wouldn't be as consequential. I'm delighted to be here to represent the American Heart Association and Go Red for Women on this day as we celebrate women, those that are still here and those that have succumbed to this. And, this is my purpose. I use myself as an example of why heart health education and spreading awareness is so very important. It's just the little things that can make such a big difference.
Andrea, thank you for sharing your story. I want to pause for a second and just, if any of my fellow panelists want to react to what they just heard, because I'm just so grateful that Andrea has using her voice, turning her pain into passion, but also helping educate other folks, because Andrea, for all we know, there are probably many people, unfortunately, who have had this experience, and they thought they were alone. And hearing you share your story helps them feel differently. But please, I open it up to my other panelists. Dr. Griffiths, I see you unmuted as well. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just feel awful for you, Andrea. Just to be at that stage in your life and go through that is just unbelievable, really. And I can see why you didn't believe you had a heart attack. I think I would have been in the same boat at that age.
Dr. Jeffries Leonard, shocked.
Absolutely shocked. So tragic. But as you said, the fact that you're here to be able to tell this to this audience is going to save so many lives. It's going to bring attention and awareness to those symptoms that we don't pay any attention to. You know, we often think, just like you, why would I think I'm having a heart attack? And there's so many stories like this, and just your presence here, taking that pain and being so brave and using that to tell us what to look for, what your outcome was, and how we can change that. It's going to make a difference far beyond what we can even imagine.
Agreed.
Pamela, when I heard the story, it made me think about the equity issues that exist.
Yes, it does exist, but I really want to commend you for sharing your story. And I'm actually going to share mine because it just happened a couple of weeks ago where I was on a flight and I felt horrible. And all I could think about was all the stories that I've heard over the years since I've been at the American Heart Association, the sweating, the pain, all of that. And I actually told my husband, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it. And we had to tell the flight attendant, and they had to radio it in. We were about 30 minutes out. And so when we landed, the EMT was there. They checked my blood pressure, all of that. It was a little high. And my son was going on to college. And so I actually had to go to the emergency room to find out what was wrong with me because we were getting ready to take an international trip. And again, all I could think about was it was better for me to take these steps than to wait. Because if I had waited, something else could have happened. And so going through the process of being checked fast, we went through that, Dr. Robinson. I have to say, I really appreciated our ER doctor. And then also making sure I had a CT scan to make sure that nothing else was wrong. I didn't have any blockage. But I'm sharing that because it's so important for us to advocate for ourselves, that we have to listen to our bodies. And I knew something was wrong. Now I'm going to tell you, I was dehydrated. That's what was wrong with me. And that's why I had like this severe headache. But I did present as though I was having a heart attack or some type of incident. And again, this is why it's important for us to tell our stories. Don't wait. You have to take action. I was not going to wait because of others that had shared their story. So being an advocate, that is such a key piece of this equity message, is because others don't always have the ability to advocate for themselves, or they don't have enough knowledge. So they rely on others to help to be an advocate for them. And for each of us that are here, our call to action to each of you that are listening this evening is help to advocate. We have to change the policies that are in place. We have to make sure that we are not reversing the types of policies that are helping to protect us. And so it's important to understand so that we can be the best CEO of our health.
I was going to add, when we think about young people, particularly talking about women, there's something called Takotsubo's cardiomyopathy.
Now, what is this, John? Because I'm the young, we're all young women on the channel.
Takotsubo is Japanese for octopus pot. It goes like this, and it comes out at like a bowl at the end, and you see it in particularly in women that have had a stressful event, very stressful event, and they come in with all the classic symptoms and signs of a heart attack. And when you take them to the cath lab, they've had damage to their heart muscle. The muscle has blown out at the tip of the heart, and it looks like an octopus pot. The only difference is that the arteries are completely open. And when you look back at some of the things, when you talk about fight or flight, the same guy that looked at the fight or flight mechanism, he did some studies on what they call voodoo death. When they thought people were putting voodoo curses on them, they would feel all of those emotions and actually have physiologic effects from adrenaline or from the surge of that. And then when they take the voodoo curse off, they felt better. So when you think about what our body and what the mind can actually do, it's a mind-body connection, and how stress can actually kill. And when we think about young African-American men, I have a whole host of young African-American men that are on transplant lists that have defibrillators in, not from heart attacks, but from congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure, hypertension is a leading cause of congestive heart failure in our folks, meaning that it's like blood pressure that beats up on the heart continuously and more aggressively, leading to dialysis and heart failure. So we have so many young African-American men that have congestive heart failure where their heart's barely pumping 30%. And they need one of the pumps, defibrillators that Andrea talked about. When your heart function is below 35% like hers was, you're at high risk of sudden death and cardiac arrest. So we put defibrillators in as a backup. So you see a lot of people, being in DC, maybe I'm, jaded, or I see a lot more of that, but it's a huge population. So heart failure symptoms, significant shortness of breath, swelling in your legs, feeling more winded than usual, doing the things that you normally could do. You can't lay down flat at night because now your lungs are filled with fluid. So think about all those symptoms and don't blow it off as a cold or COVID or, I got lymphedema. Just think about something that's changing in you that's significant, because it's usually not that subtle.
Dr. Robinson,
go ahead. Yes, because I feel like he's drawing a connection. Please, Dr. Jeffries, Leonard, and then Dr. Jacqueline, I have a question for you.
So, Dr. Robinson, you're taking me back, because that's where I started my research on stress and cardiovascular disease and how it impacted our blood pressure and our physiological responses. And so what you're saying is absolutely true. The stress that we're under, and then I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Norman Anderson at Duke for a while when he started way back in the day, when he put in place the racial stressor scale to see how we as African Americans compare in terms of stress when we look at our white counterparts. And what we don't always pay attention to is the fact that in addition to the daily stressors that everybody is encountering, we as African Americans, people of color, Black and brown people, we have a number of other type of stressors on us that include those racial stressors that you can't always really measure. And all of these things are kind of compiling and piling on to provide that level of stress that puts us at risk for cardiovascular disease, cardiovascular events. And so we have to look at, in addition to these other things that Dr. Robinson talked about and that Pamela talked about, in terms of things that we can change, we have to look at those things that we cannot change in terms of those social stressors that are putting us at huge risk. We see that all the time in this field because it's pervasive. I think we're at a time now, not to get political, but there are some things that we need to be able to do. But I think that we're in this time now where those things are getting exacerbated. And so as a people, we are under even more stress, I think. And that is really adding to the health issues that we see in African-American people.
Talk about it, Dr. Jeffries, Leonard. Now, I will take a point of personal privilege because I'm the moderator to remind folks out there that a lot of times when people say they don't want to be political, what y'all are talking about is y'all don't want to be partisan, because the ability to go to the grocery store in your neighborhood and get green lettuce is political. The ability to go to the doctor and receive quality health care when you need it in a timely fashion is, in fact, political. And so I encourage folks in the room and on the Zoom and the chats to think about in your communities how politics is happening every single day, whether you participate or not. And when it comes to our health care, especially for people of color, especially for Black people, we cannot afford to sit on those sidelines. Speaking of those sidelines, y'all, let me just tell y'all something. Last year, okay, I had an eye opener because I learned that so many health issues have a direct connection to heart disease. I mean, I knew about breast cancer, red dress covered breast cancer. I knew about certain skin conditions, but I learned about oral health issues, various, women specific related issues that are connected to heart disease. I had no idea. Well, this year, y'all, the eyes have it. Okay. So Dr. Jacqueline, leading ophthalmologist, please just break down for us certain eye issues that can be connected to heart disease. Where it give me, what are your top 2 or top 3 if you had to boil it down?
The top 2 or top 3 that are linked to heart disease are hypertension, number 1, and diabetes, number 2. And I might as well just add in cholesterol. I call them the trifecta when you have all 3. We see signs of hypertension in the eye, closure of small blood vessels, dilation of the veins, leakage, bleeding, things like that. Sometimes we're the first, a lot of times we're the first to see changes in the eye that are directly related to a systemic disease. And we initiate the calls or the referrals back to the internist to look at certain things that we have seen. Diabetes, another thing, diabetes affects the eye by, you can have earlier cataracts than usual. You can have diabetic retinopathy, which is similar to hypertension in that you get these hemorrhages in the back of the eye. It has something to do with the vessels. And then you can also get some swelling in the back of the eye that can directly affect your vision. You can get glaucoma from diabetes. So those are the top three things we see. We can see cholesterol plaques right in the back of the eye. The eye is the window to the rest of the body, honestly. We can see so many diseases, not just heart, but other diseases in the eye first. And a lot of patients are asymptomatic. So they're not coming to you for any symptoms. They just came for a regular routine eye exam, and we find these things. So it's really important to have regular eye care.
I just want folks to make sure they hear that. It's important to get your regular eye exams, because what I hear you saying, Dr. Jacqueline, is that it can actually help in the early detection of cardiovascular diseases. Talk to me about so sometimes when you go to the eye doctor, I wear contacts for people that don't know. I have 40/70 vision. I really cannot see out here. But when you go to the eye doctor, I've been in the eye doctor as of recently, and there are folks in there saying, I really can't get my pupils dilated today. I have a meeting, or I really can't, I'm just literally here for you to update my prescription. How important is it for folks to let their ophthalmologist do their job?
Well, it's very important, because I always tell patients, well, I'm kind of seeing half the story and I'm not getting the whole story here. But one good thing and one good advancement we have is retinal imaging. And some of the retinal imaging is so good, we can take pictures through an undilated pupil and we can get almost all of the retina seen. And I like the photos because I can blow them up and I can see little tiny hemorrhages that maybe I wouldn't have seen had I looked in myself. So the retinal imaging is good, but it doesn't take us away from needing a dilated exam, because little tears and holes out in the periphery of the retina, which some people have and also don't have symptoms, but could develop into a retinal detachment, won't be seen on those photos because they don't go out that far. But we can see the major things for hypertension and diabetes with the retinal imaging.
See, I know I'm not the only one who did not know this, okay? And I know you all are taking great notes as well. I got my notes right here. Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, because I felt like we needed to clean it up. Before I go to Pamela again, Dr. Kim Jeffries Leonard, can we just talk a little straight from the heart for a second? Because I don't know if folks out there are aware, but you helped actually write the grant that started Red Dress 16 years ago. And I just think we just need to pause and take a look at Red Dress right now, and how 16 years ago the work was just as important, if not more important, it is today, because of the risk factors, because of the health disparities. You touched on this just a little bit about racial and ethnic disparities, right? Things that Black and brown people deal with that other folks don't have to worry about. What are, if you had to name the most significant risk factors, if you will, as it relates to some of these health disparities, right? What would they be?
Well, Dr. Robinson named a whole lot of them, but and then Pamela talked about some of the structural issues, and I think all of these, your health, your diet, the things that you can do, those are risk factors. But then also place matters. So where you live, the food deserts, access to care, culturally competent physicians. Everybody doesn't have a Dr. Reginald Robinson that they can go to and understand what our cultural makeup is. And the fact that there are some things that are genetically different in Black folks and brown folks and mixed folks that we may not see in our white counterparts. Dr. Robinson is like, what is she talking about? but I mean, we don't have that. And so I think the fact that we need to have culturally competent doctors. The other thing that I'm going to say, and I'm going to touch on, is the fact that there are huge gaps in research. You know, for a long time, everybody talked about taking an aspirin because that data was done on white men. And so there were very few women and Black women in these studies. And so in order for us to really get a clear picture and start to really closing some of these gaps, we need to jump in to research studies. We need to make sure research studies are designed with us in mind.
Ladies, Dr. Kim Jeffries Leonard is telling y'all to sign up, okay? She's telling y'all to not ignore the email. She's telling you to open your mail and go to the call, okay?
Because when you hear, you know, women or XYZ, the first question you want to ask is how many Black women were in that study? And if all the Black women, what did the Black women look like? Are they at my age? Are they at my demographic? Do they live where I live? And so in order for us to be very comfortable that the research is relevant to us, that the medications are normed on us, please, my sisters, and if there's any brothers on here, you got women in your life, please encourage them to get into these clinical trials, to get into these studies, because that's the only way we're going to be able to tell our stories from a data-driven method.
Dr. Jeffries, can you get ahead of it before all the texts and emails come in about the Tuskegee experiment and all these other things? Can you jump ahead of that?
Because people always want to cite Tuskegee, and it's like y'all read the headlines and ain't read the paragraph.
So
you don't even know what the Tuskegee experiment.
Harrietta Lacks, all of those things are sort of separate. So
we heard that when we started talking about the COVID vaccine, and then our sister came on and said, let Tuskegee go, because I helped design this vaccine. Dr. Kizzy, because she was on our webinars. So we have to get beyond that. And the way to get beyond that is to be informed, take control, be a part, ask questions. So thank you, Dr. Robinson. Yes, we have to move past Tuskegee so that we can start having information that is relevant to us, that is normed on us, that tells our story.
We have to be a part of the solution.
We do.
We have to be a part. To be clear, we cannot afford to sit it out. Pamela, you know, sometimes I think we give a little doom and gloom. I don't want to scare people, but I want people to be concerned because our participation does have the ability to change things. So let's talk about some of the challenges in achieving health equity, specifically when we talk about Black women. And then let's talk about some of the successful strategies that have been employed to overcome these challenges. So give me two of the challenges, the biggest challenges, and two of the most successful strategies that have been employed to work to overcome them.
Let's start with number one, getting evidence-based information and relying on that. Not what our friends say, because, you know, we pick up the phone and we say, okay, this happened, blah, blah. And then our sister friend tells us, girl, just get you some of that green juice and you'll be fine. Instead of
y'all
saying,
need to get off WebMD. I'm going to tell y'all, stay off WebMD. Y'all need to get off Google, go to the doctor, and please don't have y'all's children or your nieces and nephews looking up your answers on TikTok, okay?
That is exactly my point, because we become informed with a lot of information. We use this, but not from the standpoint of let me research it from a credible source. That is what is important. That is number one. And that works both ways. It's not being informed with the evidence-based information, but it's also the solution, because we need to utilize evidence-based information. The second thing is we cannot put off what we need to do today. So what do I mean by that? I mean, okay, I'm gonna start tomorrow eating good, or I'm gonna start walking tomorrow. Everything's about tomorrow, but we have got to just take a small step today. If my small step, if I drink 2 sodas a day, maybe my small step is that I only drink 1 soda a day. And then I move to trying to not have any soda a day, and then I end up drinking herbal tea. But the thought that we got to keep putting things off is killing us. Okay. And we do have the ability to make those changes. It's just small changes. And over time, they become a habit. They do, because you've done them over and over and over again, and therefore they become a habit. And I will also say, this is another solution. Get a buddy. Go on a journey with someone so you can have someone to hold you accountable. It is the best way. I think about when I first started like becoming aware about what I was putting in my body and being active. I had a few buddies. So if someone wasn't able to go, then I could go with somebody else. And then over time, I'm by myself all the time because I'm traveling for work. So the first thing I put in my suitcase are my workout clothes. Not what I'm going to wear for my business, but my business meetings, but it's what I'm going to work out in.
Now, Pamela, you gonna have some people in the bag now. I can't lie and say I put my workout clothes in the bag first. You challenging me to start putting them leggings in there and at least some tennis shoes.
And Symone, guess what else I leave in my suitcase? I leave my tennis shoes in the suitcase. I have a pair of tennis shoes. You have your makeup bag because you gotta have two separate ones. But I keep them in the bag because it when you see it, it makes you say, I am going to take action wherever I'm going to go. If I go on vacation, I'm gonna work out, like to be active. So that is a part of the solution. And they're small things, but they are transformative. And then you talk about what can we collectively do? We have to align on our agendas. And so what do I mean by that? I'm going to use an example and Dr. Robinson may want to expand upon this, but we allow others to tell us what we should not think is important. For instance, sugar sweetened beverages, flavored cigarettes, they are bad for us. There is nothing good about them at all. For us, it is not. It's not good. But we allow others to say that we are being disenfranchised or our rights are being taken away. They're not being, if you want to die early, okay, then okay, that's what we will do. That means they don't care about us as people, as individuals in our community. Now that might have been a little too personal, but that is my own personal perspective.
Can I jump in on this with you?
Yes, because y'all about to come from my Sprite, but go right ahead.
But I want to talk about what she's saying about the tobacco piece and some of the other things. If you look at advertising, and all of this ties into a big picture around your health, who are they targeting? We're the ones. I mean, I know I had my, Jets and Ebony's and but all of the ads back then where they, it was really cool because the Newports and the Cools and all of those, they were targeting us. And so it's on record that the tobacco companies were targeting us. It's also on record that menthol cigarettes are more addictive. It's also on record that tobacco, as Dr. Robinson said, used to be the most preventable cause, but now it's obesity, but this number 2. So these are things, sugary drinks that they target us. Sugar is a part of the obesity piece that keeps us with cardiac issues. So we have to really look at, I don't want to sound like we're doing a conspiracy theory here, but we really have to look at who is making money on us, why, and what it's doing to us in our health.
Yeah,
and all of these, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now I was going to piggyback and say that it's not any mystery that Cool, Newport, and Salem are all menthol cigarettes in our community.
That's right.
And they're running ads against that on our own radio stations.
That's right. So
but then along these lines, then talk about, because now it is the Juul, the electric cigarettes, the vaping, those things. Yes, they're gateways to these other pieces, because a lot of younger people. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a vapor or e-cigarette, but the young people, we are smoking hookah. So help get the young people together. Get us
when
together.
you think about vaping, I don't think the body was meant to combust something with metals, heavy metals, to be able to breathe it into your lungs, right? So the nicotine concentration is pretty high when you're doing it, plus other particles. There's a disease process linked to vaping now, vaping lung disease.
That's
So it's not something that's just, and they're getting smarter. They know how to make a vape pen look like a key fob or a USB probe so that they can take them to school. So the industries are helping kids get slicker on their parents and the school systems.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Goodness.
Y'all. Can I piggyback on something Dr. Griffith? I want to plug her. She was talking about, we want to bypass the eye as a window.
I was going back to the eye. So absolutely, Dr. Robinson. And I just want to know for folks out there, we are going to take your questions. Drop your questions in the chat. Now people are texting me talking about this is getting good. Yeah, it's been good. Yes, thank y'all for tuning in. Tell a friend. Drop your questions in the chat, folks. And I have a couple that I'll be asking. But yes, Dr. Robinson, bring us back to the eyes.
So she can look at she can look at the back of your eyes and tell how bad your hypertension is. Right.
You can. I mean, the eye is the only organ where you can look at live blood vessels non-invasively. And you can see what's going on, not only in the eye, but if it's going on in the eye, and I tell my diabetics, I need to see you every year, because the minute I see any kind of retinopathy, that means it exists in your heart and your kidneys and everywhere else, and your doctor wants to hear from me. So I impress upon them the importance of coming back. The other thing I was going to say before is that you can have a stroke in the eye. A lot of people don't know that. You can have a stroke in the eye and lose vision. And the vision can be temporarily gone and maybe come back if it's not that bad of a stroke. But you can have one where you completely lose vision. And that is a sign that that same process where you threw cholesterol or a blood clot to the eye can happen in the brain. It can happen in the heart. It can happen a lot of places. So we get, some people will come in with symptoms. My eyes are blurred. I have double vision. I suddenly, my vision was gone for a few minutes and then came back. That is a sign of a mini stroke a lot of times. And so we do a lot of multidisciplinary treatments of patients. We definitely involve our colleagues in the fields that control the treatment of, the underlying disease processes. But we're kind of, the ones that see it a lot first before anybody else does.
And if you're on a medication called amiodarone, which is very common, it helps to decrease atrial fibrillation. You've seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar advertising for it and other ventricular rhythm abnormalities. So millions of people are on amiodarone, and we tell them to go to see their eye doctors at least once a year, because they can look at the eye and see if they're getting toxicity from this medication.
Correct.
More you know. See, I did not know this. I go to the eye doctor. That I naturally can't see, so now I got extra reason for going.
One thing that I might tag on also to the stroke conversation is a lot of times when you have a stroke in the brain, or they may put you on blood thinners, and if you have an arrhythmia, which is an irregular heartbeat that may throw a clot, they'll put you on a blood thinner. But blood thinners don't work for strokes in the eye, so we don't do. I mean, they don't harm the eye, but they won't help in that situation.
Oh, Lord. See, I'm learning. Every year I learn something. We're going to take some questions from the chat. Now, I believe we have a question from Ponder Caprice. We're going to throw it up on the screen. They're telling me yes. Okay. I will read it aloud for folks. All right. Miss Neosha, I'm very sorry we put your email out here for everyone to see. She says, as a breast cancer survivor, I know firsthand the importance of prioritizing health. However, with the physical and emotional challenges that cancer brings, sometimes heart health can fall by the wayside. For breast cancer survivors specifically, what are some key heart healthy habits we should be focusing on, and how can we manage competing priorities to make them achievable? My mother is a breast cancer survivor, and this is something she often says. She's like, I'm so busy, but talk directly to the breast cancer survivors out there.
There's a whole new field of cardiology called cardio-oncology, because they're when you think about radiation, if you're doing the right side breast versus left side breast, the left's on the right over the heart. So if you're getting a lot of radiation to that left breast, you won't see effects from radiation for 10 to 20 years. The right side of the heart valves, the arteries are right there. So they can cause leaky heart valves. They can cause narrowing of the arteries that are there. In the past, they used to give high doses of radiation. So you would see a lot of that effects on the heart, the lung, anything that's in its path. It just doesn't stop at the heart itself. And many of the chemotherapy agents that are used for treating breast cancer, for lung cancer, can be cardiotoxic to the heart and cause congestive heart failure. So they have protocols in many of the cancer institutes now that they get an echocardiogram, an ultrasound of the heart pre-therapy and at certain intervals during the therapy so that they can follow the function of the heart, because long-term it's potentially that, and it doesn't have to actually be long-term when it comes to chemo versus it is with radiation. With chemo, it can happen pretty quickly. And that will give them a marker that if the heart function drops even a little bit, that they need to either stop or change the therapy that they're given.
Yeah, and we see a lot of patients who are on tamoxifen because they can get some toxicity in the eye from that.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Ponder. We have another question. This comes from Dr. Kelly Kitchens Nolan. We're going to put it up on the screen and I'll read it. It says, for Black expecting mothers, navigating pregnancy comes with unique concerns and considerations. Can you elaborate on specific heart healthy habits they should be aware of throughout their journey? And what are some common challenges or risk factors to address, and how can they prioritize their heart health for the benefit of both themselves and their babies? Another question in here goes on to note what solutions and systemic changes are needed to address these disparities and ensure access to heart healthy care. And I mean, and to put a finer point on it, when you talk about the maternal mortality rate, I don't think I need to tell the folks, the panelists here, Black women, the Black maternal mortality rate is abysmal in this country. So Black women are already at risk even more than their counterparts. And it doesn't matter how much money they have. When Beyonce and Serena Williams are landing in the hospital with some of the same issues as women from North Omaha, Nebraska, there's something happening.
Yeah. So one of the lead was when our good friend, Dr. Lynn Lightfoot, a fabulous OBGYN here in DC.
Dr. Lightfoot is my doctor.
Yes. And when you think about things that it's becoming a little more, I think it's first heard with the OB in the care of their patient, preeclampsia. Preeclampsia can happen before, like during and directly after pregnancy. And preeclampsia is hypertension during pregnancy. And there are certain medications that you can use and certain that you cannot use during pregnancy that could be directly toxic to the baby. So if you have hypertension during pregnancy, you need to be very aggressive, and your doctors need to be very aggressive with treating that, not only through medication, but lifestyle changes, making sure your diet, making sure your weight's not going up too quickly and affecting some of those factors that contribute to hypertension. Gestational diabetes is another big key factor that can occur during the pregnancy cycle. So the big thing you think about that increases our mortality, the mother and the baby, is preeclampsia. So really jumping on that and treating that aggressively. If they're not treating that aggressively, something's wrong.
So important. I think we actually have a couple questions from the Eventbrite page. And so let me go to these right now. The question one from our Eventbrite RSVP. Oh, this is a good one. It says, many health issues go misdiagnosed in our community. How important is it to get a second opinion? And what else do you recommend? We'll put this one on the screen, but yes, this was question one. Ooh, how important is it to get a second opinion? Is it necessary?
Anyone?
Griffiths is like, well, now.
Well, I was just gonna say that if you do have an issue and you're not getting an answer that you feel like you're getting your situation addressed, then you should. I mean, I had a skin issue, and it took me about 7 or 8 doctors before I found a doctor that actually diagnosed what it was. So I kept pushing and kept advocating for myself until someone would listen. Instead, they kept testing me for lupus, and it wasn't that. But I had to find somebody that was a specialist with that particular condition. So that was an expert in that condition. So I believe from my own personal experience that you should. And especially if you don't feel like if your healthcare provider doesn't hear you. Maybe I'm a little old school, but I like for somebody to look me in the eye and have a conversation. And I want you to hear when they start to ask you, from, all the things that have happened to you, like they're going back to have some context as to why you're having these issues. I feel like they're hearing what I'm saying, because then what they're able to analyze is grounded in these other factors instead of just kind of surface of, okay, well, but what triggered that? So when they start to really dig and ask you deeper questions, I feel like you're developing a relationship and you want one so that you feel like you're empowered with and working in collaboration with your provider, because you're partners. Yes, they have a medical degree. I look at Dr. Robinson. Yes, he has a medical degree, but I also want him to be a partner in my health, and not just he's the doctor, but it's my body, my health. And I want you to work with me so that I can have the most optimal outcome.
Now I'm gonna advocate for the doctors. I'm gonna be the doctor's spokesperson for a second. The doctors want y'all to listen out there. Now, it's one thing if the doctor is dismissing your concerns. It's another thing if the doctor been telling you to stop drinking that Coke and that Pepsi, and y'all still drinking the Coke and the Pepsi.
Can I piggyback with that?
Dr. Griff, okay, come on.
Oh, yes,
Dr.
exactly.
Griff, if she tells you that they saying something in the back, and she calls and she refers you over, don't be looking for a second opinion.
You need to
go.
go.
Griffiths, you need to go to the recommendation.
Our staff will even make the appointment for you if I refer you to someone. So
okay.
And I tell people that my feelings won't be hurt if you go get a second opinion, right? So you don't worry about it. And we have to advocate for our seniors too. And I was just telling the patient, he was in the bed and I could tell he wasn't understanding what I was talking about. So I told him to call his daughter and put her on the phone. So if you have your mother, your father, your grandfather, they're in the hospital alone, I told them that before anyone starts speaking to you, tell them to hold on. You're going to call your cousin, your niece, or whoever and put them on the phone so more than one set of ears can hear. A lot of times you're in a setting where you're in the bed and you're scared to death. You don't hear anything that person is, that Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 it's all going to, going up in smoke, and you don't hear any of that. So, another point is you will never go into a store and they treat you a certain way and you keep going back to that store. So why do you do that at a doctor's office? It's harder at a doctor's office because there's so limited number of doctors, especially as you get into specialty. You feel like you just have to keep going and, being subjected to whether it's bad treatment or miscommunications or whatever it is. So just trying to look around and being an advocate for yourself.
This every year I tell y'all, this is just a preface for the podcast that Dr. Reggie is going to have with all of us, where we talk straight from the heart. We have another question, and this also came from our Eventbrite RSVPs. And this is what it said. This was question 2 from Eventbrite. It said, once you are diagnosed as diabetic, can you reverse it with diet and exercise? And if heart disease runs in our family, are there basic screening exams / tests you should have performed? So first question, once you're diagnosed as diabetic, can you not be diabetic anymore if you do something?
So it depends on type 1 versus type 2. Generally, that's meaning that you lack the insulin receptors that need, and the likelihood would be less. Type 2, generally, there's insulin resistance. And we go back to the obesity thing. Fat's not just sitting there. Fat's actually actively fighting your own insulin, and it's inflammatory. So it's making your body become insulin resistant. So you see people in the extreme where they've had gastric bypass, they've lost 50 pounds, and now they're still trying to take the same diabetic medications and same blood pressure medication, but they're passing out because now their blood sugars are dropping too low or their blood pressures are dropping too low. So it's possible. Nothing's 100%, of course, but you have to put the work in. Some of the things I tell people, getting rid of all the white stuff. And I'm gonna jump on you now. Sodas have no nutritional value. Zero.
I know,
and if you can
I can't drink the Celsius.
well, that's probably okay. But if you read the label on something and you don't know what the ingredient is, you probably don't want to touch it. What's FD&C green or monoglutamide or whatever that is on the side of the bottle? You probably don't even really want to touch it. For screening from a cardiovascular standpoint, if you truly have someone in the family that had early heart attacks, stress tests aren't great screening tests. You go back to the plumbing analogy. If you have a 60% blockage in your pipes, the water's still going to flow. Same thing in your arteries, and every stress test you take is going to be normal. But after you take that stress test, that plaque can break off and cause the heart attack the next day. There's something called a coronary calcium scan. It's a CAT scan of the heart. You're not getting IV dye. You don't need an IV or anything. It takes about 20 minutes. It's not covered by our insurance, but it costs about $100. I'm sure most of us on this call have spent that on dinner. So it costs about $100 at most radiology places, and your primary care physician can do that. A score of 0 is great. That says the likelihood of you having a heart attack in the next 4 or 5 years will be extremely low. 0 to 100 is mild, 100 to 200 is moderate, and over 300 is significant. So I have people that have plaque burdens in their thousands, meaning that the plaque is all scattered out through the arteries. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's blocking any particular area, but it gives you an idea of, like, if you don't want to get on a cholesterol medication, sometimes it motivates you. Okay, my plaque is really high. I better do something on top of exercising.
What was that CAT scan, Doc? What was it?
Called the coronary calcium scan. You're not necessarily looking for a calcium. Plaque looks, when it's hard, it looks like bone when the CAT scan hits it. So it reflects, and they give you a number, and they give you, like, you're in the 88th percentile for your age group.
I want to bring in this question I just saw in the chat from Jackie Brown, because we mentioned y'all came from my sweets and my sugars and the breads and whatnot. And this question is important. This is from Jackie Brown on Facebook. In the heart of the African-American community, where soul food traditions reign supreme, how can we navigate the often complicated relationship between taste, cultural significance, and the undeniable importance of heart health? What practical strategies and creative solutions can empower individuals and families to embrace both cultural heritage and heart-healthy lifestyles? And can y'all share some inspiring examples of how individuals or communities have struck the balance? Now, I'm going to preface this with saying, my husband always gets on me. He was on me last night talking about this. He'll make something. I'm like, well, I need a little more seasoned salt. I need a little more of this. And he's like, well, first of all, you don't chew your food. Okay. You're inhaling. And secondly, too much seasoning, too much stuff. Okay. You know, you want all that extra stuff on your pasta. Talk to the people.
Well, I'm going to weigh in here because the American Heart Association does have a series of healthy soul food cookbooks.
Oh.
And yes, we do. And you can get the recipes online. So from mac and cheese to collard greens, sweet potatoes. Now you can't fry the chicken in oil, but there's a way to still make it taste good. Okay.
Air fryer. How about the air fryer?
Okay, yes, Doctor.
Yes. So there are ways, and you'd be surprised. It is about using more herbs for the seasoning than using the salt. And so one of the things, and I'll just use my cooking greens. So I was making collard greens, and my mother said, "You're not cooking those long enough." I said, "Mom, you're taking the nutrients out of them if you cook them longer," because I'll saute them, right? And with the peppers and onions and all that. And I will tell you, she's like, they actually taste better this way. I was like, that's because I use the herbs and the peppers and the onions instead of like boiling them to death. And then there's no nutrients left in it anyway. So it is about rethinking how we prepare, and we just need a little guidance. And that's why we have those recipes, and they're all free of charge on the American Heart Association's website.
And we have Andrea on here, who's from Jamaica, and we know Jamaican food is really tasty and wonderful. So the seasonings and spices, you know, we're all from the diaspora. And, you know, being in a cardiology now for about 22 years, I've learned to meet people where they are. I'm not going to go in and say you need to be a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. I mean, that you lost the fight as soon as you walk in the room telling someone that they need to do, the guy named, what's his name? He invented the first defibrillator at Hopkins, the brother. Had a book called You Don't Live on My Street, meaning that you can't really come to someone if you don't really know their cultural backgrounds and where they're coming from. So I like the question. Moderation is key in many things. So if you had a Christmas celebration, or, I mean, you don't have to eat the whole bucket, the whole bucket. The portion size is about the size of your palm of your hand. So, treat yourself every so often. But when we start looking at not treating and that, stepping outside of those bounds, that's when you run into a lot of those problems as well. I know, Pam, you can plug your ears when I said that, right?
No, because I enjoy it myself in moderation, Dr. Robinson.
In moderation. Okay, I want to take one more question from Eventbrite. This was question 3. This question was, it says, what is being done to improve social determinants of health, and who do we need to call or work with in our communities to bring about change? And I will also add to that, I was on the socials the other day, and I saw a young woman who was in the doctor, and she had all these dots on her arm from doing an allergy test. And she said that her allergist told her, she was doing it, it was a TikTok. She was like, from her allergist basically told her that she's allergic to where she lives. And then all these people in the comments started talking about that our environment actually plays a bigger, is more important than we think it is. And there's just probably some places we shouldn't be living. Now, everybody cannot pack up and move. So make it make sense for the folks. What is being done to improve these social determinants? And just who can people call?
It's so much bigger than that. It's because it's not just one thing. So I'm going to start it off, and I'm sure everybody else will want to weigh in. But 80% of your health outcomes is dictated outside of the clinical setting. So all the things that we've been talking about, what we eat, if you have a safe place to walk, your education, where you live, your housing, if you're housing insecure, if you're homeless, those are 2 different things, but it all has to do with housing. Access to healthcare. All of those particular elements are a part of the social determinants of health. So it's the actual system. And so depending on the area that you work in, so if I'm in education, how do I help to ensure that I am I'm contributing to ensuring that my child or my community has the best school system? Do they have access to books? Some of them don't. So there's that inequity. Or when our kids start into first grade and they don't know how to read, that they're already behind 3 years. So that creates this inequity, but it is a part of the social determinants of health. And so when you talked about food deserts, I can't remember who brought up, Dr. Jeffries, Leonard brought up food deserts. I mean, we may have access to food, but do we have access to quality food? And that's really it's the same thing. Do I have access to care, or do I have access to quality care? That adjective is really critical, but it's all a part of the social determinants of health. And Dr. Jeffries, Leonard, I'm sure you want to add on to this, because this is what we talk about all the time.
All the time. I think in order to try to really address this, the first thing I'm going to say, vote, people, vote, please. Because everything starts at local politics. And so what you see in your space, how your community is developed, what is developed in your community, the kind of access that you have from a health perspective, all of those things start at the ballot box. So that's the first thing. I need you all to vote. I need you all to get people galvanized and engaged to vote. This is not an election that we can sit out, because there's so many things at stake for this election, including our health and our health care. One of the things that I will say is that, was it 16 years ago, we had a president who put policies in place that ensured that people were able to get health care. Those things are trying to be reversed. So we have to first and foremost, we need to vote. And then we need to start really understanding, partnering with organizations to be able to help with advocacy around the kinds of things we need in our communities, providing the kinds of support to be able to get information out to our communities. Because some of the things that happen, we may have something, but people are not aware of it. There may be programs, there may be a mammogram bus that comes in your area, but people are not aware of it. So we want to make sure that we're educating people and making them aware of the resources that are available to them. And then we want to make sure that when we have these resources, we are combating misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation out there. On a daily basis, I talk to somebody and they're going to tell me about what a vaccine is going to do to you, and what happens if I go get this operation, because the old folks used to say, if you open me up, then it's going to spread. We have to really work hard. I'm not talking about my mom, I know she's watching, but we have to work hard to combat that misinformation. And so we have to make sure that we are working with the right organizations, the Links Incorporated, in our communities to be able to get that message out to the community. We need to have community partnerships so that we can work with the right folks in our communities to get the message to everyone. We need to ensure that we are properly educating those who provide care for us, our physicians. We need to make sure that we are empowering ourselves, our communities, our families, as Dr. Robinson said, to go to physicians who respect us and treat us right and see who we are. And when they don't, we have to say something. It doesn't matter where you sit on the spectrum. We look the same to most doctors that we go to. So it doesn't matter what you have on or where you come from. A lot of our doctors feel, I got my 2 minutes, I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and then I'm out. You have to take control of that. You have to go either to somebody who is going to provide the right, treat you with the right information, or you're going to need to say, I need a little more. I need to understand. So I think there are a number of things we can do to address these social determinants of health. But as Pamela said, it's very systemic. It's a huge piece, and it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of the resources, the partnerships, the organizations. I love what Dr. Griffiths said about we have to be very intentional about including all of our providers in the process. Then just like we have to be very intentional about including all of the stakeholders. Andrea with her story. Some of this would never have resonated with anyone on this webinar tonight if they hadn't heard Andrea's story. And so we have to make sure that we're all at the table working to the same end and the same goal. I was really honored to start Heart Links, the signature program for the Links Incorporated 16 years ago. But it is very painful to know where we were then is the same place we are now. So we got work to do, but we can't do it alone. We're going to have to use every policy, advocacy, ballot box, organization, physician engagement, influencer, personal story to be able to get us to where we need to be, because everything is interrelated and we're all dependent on each other to get that healthcare outcome that we need to have.
Symone, are we able to pull that map of DC up at this point?
Yes, let's pull the map up.
That's
And
a
while
perfect-
we go pull the map up. Great. So while we're pulling the map up, I also want to just put these last two questions up, and then I'm going to ask each of my panel. Well, Dr. Robinson gonna walk y'all through this map, and some of y'all gonna be scared once you see the map. So I just want you to grab your water now, and then we'll do the map. I'm gonna pull the last two questions up, and then we'll give final comments and answer to the last two questions. But map first, because I heard about this map.
So I just wanted to
seen it myself.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that Dr. Jeffries mentions advocacy. That sounds a lot more amenable than lobbying, right? The American Heart Association has a program called You're the Cure. So you can go on you'rethecure.com and become an advocate. They have many social arms that they can, whether it's sugary tax, vaping, or other things. And we talked about that pyramid. The base of the pyramid are the social determinants of health. That little peak is what we always get taught. how you eat and your activity. So if you hover over down in the bottom where the red, this is a map of DC. You see 20032, life expectancy in the red, anywhere from 72 years. We look at unemployment rate, uninsured rate, rate with limited access to healthy food, obesity rate, and share of adults who smoke. So this article was called "Your Zip Code Dictates How Long You Will Live." Let's go all the way up to upper Northwest into the pink. Life expectancy near 90. These are some old data, so now it's closer to 90, based on some of these same parameters and the people that lived in the same city. And if you can highlight, they have a map of Chicago, they have a map of New York City, where you go on one side of Manhattan, that's there, you see New York right here, New York City, and the life expectancy from in the same city from 65 to 90, a 30-year span based on where you live within that city. And you see all the parameters, life expectancy, unemployment rate. These are all social determinants of how people eat, how they live, where they pray, that really has a huge impact on your overall outcome. So that's why cardiovascular disease has been a leading cause of death for over 100 years. The last time something beat us was the last pandemic, when it was the influenza outbreak in 1918. And that's because they thought that physicians and scientists were going to be the ones that cured this thing. It's not the case. We only can handle a certain percentage of this. That's where many of these bright minds that are on the call tonight, as Dr. Jeffries said, at the ballot box. These are the people that are pushing things to our people, to our kids, to poor people, where they may not do it themselves. So lobby, I'm sorry, that's a bad word. Advocate, advocate, advocate.
I had to take a picture of this map.
So this is a Time magazine called by a guy named Elijah Wolfson, and you can just put that in and it'll pull up the article for you. How your zip code dictates your life expectancy.
I love this. Well, folks, we have come to the end, and I know that our Eastern area director, Dr. Reverend Doctor, but Dr. Lisa Laura Lomas, she would not allow us to get up off this room and this Zoom and this conversation without talking about our mental health. And I want to point to the last two questions we have in this chat right now. Questions 4 from M. Bynum, and then we also have a question from Dr. Tanya A. Royster. I'm going to put them both up so everyone can see them. But both of these questions talk about the stressors, the chronic stressors that our Black communities face daily. M. Bynum says, beyond individual coping mechanisms, some may have developed to manage the daily stressors of life. What systemic changes or community-based initiatives are needed to address the root causes of this stress and create a more supportive environment for Black individuals to thrive and maintain good health? And then the question from Dr. Tanya A. Royster is, in addition to a woman's individual family stresses, Black women experience the ongoing collective trauma of systemic racism, past and present, okay? Can you discuss the impact of chronic stress and emotional trauma on heart health and healing from heart disease? So I will ask that in your final comments, if you all could just respond to this piece and talk about the importance of our mental health as well. And I'm going to call names. And honestly, I'm going to start with Dr. Griffiths.
Well, I think the mental health piece is very important. I know even for myself, I have to balance the hard work, the days, the hours, with something that I like to do, you know? So you have to balance your life. You have to find balance. You have to spend time with your family because that just enriches your soul. And spend time with your friends because, you know, this life isn't promised. So you can't spend all your time being stressed. And I also let people go who stress me out. I mean, I just let it go. And so those are the things that I would suggest you do to try to just find balance.
Virtual round of applause for Dr. Jacqueline Griffiths, the leading ophthalmologist. Ladies and gents, I learned something today. Andrea, your final thoughts in response to the mental health pieces and the chronic stressors and traumas that Black women especially are dealing with every day.
So, and as it relates to my heart event, I always talk about that being twofold. You have your physical wellness and then your mental health wellness. Your physical wellness includes adjusting your nutrition, you're doing your activities, taking your medicines, having that great relationship with your care team, which is really so important. I'm so happy that we had such a good discussion about it, because it is. I know that I can give a shout out to my care team because they're amazing. They have their hands full and I trust them with everything. But also, for myself, the mental and psychological trauma that came with my heart event was just overwhelming. When you have to try and balance your physical with that mental wellness was really hard. And I'm again so thankful that you had a whole discussion on healthcare, because I can tell you, I feel fortunate to have decent healthcare, and I was able to use it, and I leaned into it heavily, because as much as I love my care team and they, and they take care of me and I trust them, as much as my amazing family and my support system, they allow me to stand on their shoulders when I needed to see light, and the American Heart Association that has given me this wonderful space to share this opportunity, to share my story and have this opportunity to share it. I can tell you that combined, those three things, as much as they meant to me, could not give me the mental help and the support that I needed, because I needed, real care. And I got that from having health care. I was able to go to doctors that could help me sort through that trauma, that could help me. I mean, the day I had my heart attack, honestly, at the evening when I was able to relax and just think about the activities throughout the day and the event, I really started to live in a house of loss and grief and guilt and fear. And that was because, as a mother to be, that day I felt that I had one job. My one job was to protect that baby, and I didn't do it. I failed. And those were really negative and intrusive thoughts to have to balance and work through, when really your focus was trying to get physically well. And how do you do that? So what I can say is this: thank God I have healthcare. Thank God I had decent healthcare. Thank God I could go to the providers that could help me work through this. But honestly, please, if you feel at all that your mental health is not important, please, 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 reconsider. Just know that it is. You can't be wholly well if you're physically trying to do something that you just mentally can't cope with doing. That's my advice.
Andrea Wongsam, thank you so much.
Welcome.
For being here. A virtual round of applause. And I know our Eastern Area Director would wholeheartedly agree. Pamela?
Yes. Well, let me just say this. We have to create the space to be quiet and still. We have to create that, both when we wake up in the morning and when we go to bed at night. So if in the morning, if it's meditation, prayer, you're going to read a book, whatever it is, but having that quiet time to start your day is the best way for you not, I'm going to tell you what it's not, is to get on this phone, because it puts you in a tailspin. So being able to start your day with a clear mind is important. And also when you go to bed, I think about my friends. We all struggle with sleep, which is now a risk factor for heart disease. And so much of it is because of what we're reading, and it's just, it can't calm our mind. So my call to action to each of you is to be able to start your day with peace and to close it with peace. And that balance, everybody's balance is different. But once you find it, don't let anybody disturb that balance. Dr. Griffiths talked about letting people go. I've let a lot of people go, and you have to let, I have. And I also learned how to say no. I do not do everything because I can't. And being able to carve out that space and dedicate it to specific things. And if it doesn't align with what is most important to your guiding values, then it's not what you should do. And you can say no.
You can say no. Pamela Garmon Johnson, the National Vice President of Health Equity and Partnerships and National Executive Director for the National Hypertension Control Initiative for the American Heart Association. I don't even know how they fit it on a business card. Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Robinson, you know, we every year I'm just waiting on you to call me about your podcast. But given everything you've heard tonight, the last two questions about the chronic stressors and the importance of mental health, give us your final thoughts.
Well, if COVID didn't teach us anything about mental health and stresses, I don't know what would. I'm as a man, you know, we act this caveman mentality that we have to just charge ahead. You know, not just men, but women tend to go and seek that care where we tend not to. And especially when you're thinking about the mental health space. And our culture is, well, I'm not crazy. I had to tell so many people that you don't have to be, quote, crazy to go talk to someone. And I had to build that up myself. I would fight that tooth and nail, like, well, what are they going to tell me? And my brain, my rational brain is fighting my irrational brain and my telling me that I can figure it out. I'm a physician, but no, I haven't done a great job at figuring that out. There's a book that I read by a guy named Joe Dispenza called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and Losing Your Mind. And it talks about this thing called neuroplasticity. And I mentioned about epigenetics earlier, where our bodies are wired like computers. So if you have a virus in your computer, all you have to do is cut that computer switch on and the virus is already through there. When you think about something that happened to you at 3 years old, whether it's molestation, trauma, and you're a 50-year-old man, and you think about that, it automatically sets up that neural pathway to start producing cortisol. And that fight or flight response becomes a behavior right then and there, whether it was 50 years ago. And now your adrenaline is up. Now your heart rate's up. Now you're talking about what I talked about, Takatsubos. Now you have peptic ulcer disease because your body's full of, stress. You're losing weight, you're losing hair, you're losing sleep. And all of those things can be attributed. The losing your mind portion of that title is trying to figure out how you break the old process and you get in Geek Squad to come in and debug yourself, whether that's a therapist, your pastor, you reading something, and I'm learning all of that as I go along. So trying to figure out ways of debugging those stressful viruses that are sort of influencing us.
Snaps for our resident cardiologist, Dr. Reginald Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Kimberly Jeffries Leonard. You know, you, again, 16 years ago, you wrote the grant, you helped write the grant that started Red Dress. You have led this organization at one point in time. Your final comments to bring us home and give us a charge.
I am going to give you a charge. Thank you, my friend. You all have heard these tips around mental health. I want to say that while I'm thrilled that we're here, I hope the day comes that we don't have to be here, because then that tells us that we are making a difference and that we are actually doing what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is working. But mental health, I am going to close it out with mental health. It impacts everything. And so you've heard from this amazing panel how it impacts, tips to address mental health, the fact that men don't always want to address mental health, as we as women have been kind of socialized to take on everything and take on these burdens ourselves. And we know that we are dealing with intergenerational trauma that goes back to when they brought us over here. And so my charge to this audience is to be brave and be bold and straight from the heart. Let's start today and model behavior that's going to change the trajectory of the next generation. It's okay to talk about mental, I mean, we're just starting to talk about mental health and mental wellness and mental illness. We know the statistics are alarming. Physical issues are up because of stress and mental health. Suicides are up in populations that we never saw this before. And so I am charging this audience, make your mental health a priority, and not just do it for you, but do it for everybody around you who is watching. So you tell them it's okay to say, I'm not okay. It's okay to say, I got to go get some help from somewhere, whether it's the massage or the psychologist or the psychiatrist. It's okay to get on some medication. We have to reduce that stigma, because the goal for us as a people is to be well. And the only way we can be well is if we do it from a holistic, comprehensive approach. And God knows we run to the doctor for other things. Please take care of your mental health, and please model this behavior so we can save the next generation.
Amen. Well, come on. You know, I grew up Baptist, everyone, so I start passing the plate when I hear something good. A virtual round of applause for this panel. I mean, the chat has been going all night. This was truly, you know, y'all, I host a show in the mornings nowadays, okay, on Saturdays and Sundays. Your girl gets up at 4:30, and there are very few things that keep me up past my bedtime. But straight from the heart, the annual DMV Links Red Dress event, this illustrious panel, having the real conversation, getting to spend time with some of my favorites. I can't think of a better way to have spent my Friday evening. Thank y'all out there. The comments are coming in. If you want to find out more about our panelists, please check out our digital program book, okay? I was speaking to Link Michelle, who was helping put it together before the event started. She worked hard. Link Michelle Bailey worked very hard on this program book, and so did some of the other people. Make sure you all check it out. I have enjoyed serving as your moderator tonight. I know I've got my assignments. I got my notes. We have to be intentional about our health, ladies and gents. This is not playtime, it's go time. And we're going to drop the link in the live chat to everyone to the ebook again, so you can see it. Before I go, I think I have some final prizes to give away. So shout out to everyone that stuck around. We've got some grand prizes. By grand, I do mean grand. I mean, I'm to the point where I'm trying to call my Link sisters and see if there's any extra prizes left for the moderator. Our grand prize winner number 1 is Dawn Fong of Washington, D.C. Dawn, your question was actually asked live. You were question 1. You win Dr. Yolanda Dermatology Home Facial Products, and you also win $100 worth of gift cards. These facial products from Dr. Yolanda, who is also a member of who was also a big supporter of Red Dress and whatnot. I've seen Dr. Yolanda. The stuff is good. So your facial products package is about $100 worth of products. Now, again, Dawn, if you're not going to claim your prize, you call me and let me know. You also win a Hillcrest dental package, Dr. Alfonso Davidson Jr., $200 package, and a Be Affirmed kimono. Congratulations, Dawn. Again, check the chat to figure out how to claim your prize. Our grand prize winner number 2, Charlene Lucas of Stafford, Virginia, who also put a question in, and Charlene's question was asked live via our Eventbrite RSVPs. You, again, Dr. Yolanda Holmes Dermatology Facial Products, the gift that just keeps on giving, y'all. $100 worth of gift cards, a spa package at the Pearl. We love the Pearl. Lee's Flowers. We love Lee's. They did my wedding flowers. And Healing House. You get virtual or in-person yoga sessions. And I do believe Healing House has Burkham yoga, the hot yoga. I just try it out, Charlene. Let me know what you think. And last, but certainly not least, well, of the grand prize winners, is Donna Miner of Bowie, Maryland. Your question was also asked live. Thank you for sending the question in via the Eventbrite. You're getting $100 worth of gift cards, an I Know skincare kit worth $350, a cultural Botox treatment. Let me tell y'all something, okay? The cultural Botox treatment is just the chef's kiss. I'm not getting it, but I know some people that do. And I'm just saying, again, call me, Donna, if you're not going to claim your prize. And also your grand prize package includes a Misho Beauty Products package, a nail lacquer, makeup, facial products worth $250. Again, claim your prize. And last, but certainly not least, let me just tell you what the grand mega prize is. And I'm going to tell y'all who won it. The grand mega prize is 4 VIP tickets to the Sherri show. Okay, priceless. A Sherri swag box, also priceless. $100 worth of gift cards, a Couture Botox treatment, a Salamander spa package, okay, and a Vistas magazine subscription. And the mega grand prize winner tonight is Susan Kyles of Washington, D.C. Susan registered the most attendees tonight. So, all right, Susan, thank you. We appreciate you and your work, Susan. Yes, yes. I'm here for Susan. I'm very happy for her. Folks, I think I have given out all of the prizes. Congratulations to all of the prize winners in the live chat as well. I hope you all enjoyed tonight as much as I have. Please, 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 please stay connected with the DMV Links Red Dress host chapters all year long. We've got so many other amazing community events that are coming to a city near you. Remember, March is coming up, and it is the Black Family Wellness Expo. I lastly want to give another shout out to all of our sponsors. Thank you for your support. Thank you out there for tuning in and joining us. Thank our panelists. And I want to thank all of the links that worked so hard to put this together. Thank you to our Eastern Area Director, Dr. Lisa Lori Lomas. And I want to thank the tech team, because I don't know if y'all know how hard it is to pull a live map up while doing a large webinar. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have a wonderful and fabulous evening. Good night to you, and tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on MSNBC, where you will see me, hopefully rested. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.